Well, good afternoon and welcome to Seattle's Eastside Real Estate Podcast, your go-to source for all things related to living, working, and playing on the East Side. I'm your host, Dan Edwards, managing broker of the Eastside Real Estate Team. Thanks for watching today. If you are watching today, we'd love to see your comments in the comments section here on YouTube and Facebook. Also, too, you can subscribe and smash the subscribe right over here, this guy right there. Hit that subscribe. That way you get alerted when all of our future podcasts are going on. And you can definitely listen to this while you're taking care of mowing the lawn on the weekends. You can use our podcasts through Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and there's countless others. So subscribe and hear my sultry tones while you're taking care of the garbage maybe, or trimming the bushes or whatever it is. That'd be pretty fun. Anyhow, we've got a great show for you today. And we're always looking for folks who want to share their businesses on the East Side. So if you are an East Side business and you're proud of what you're doing, please reach out to the East Side Real Estate Team. You can just email Dan at the eastsiderealestateteam.com and we will get you featured on this podcast. All right. Let's get started with our Real Talk segment. So our Real Talk segment, we are talking about renting or selling your house. So there's a lot of people that are getting ready to go ahead and make a transition. And it may be moving to a bigger house. It may be moving across country. It may be moving across town. But they kind of want to know what they should do with their existing house. Does it make financial sense to perhaps rent it, or does it make more sense to just sell it? And the short answer is it really depends. Depends on a lot of things. But let's talk about this. What are the options when it comes to moving into another house? What our options are available? There's actually four. The one is to sell. Two is a rent, a long-term rent. Three is a short-term rent. And then four is a fully furnished rent for medical professionals. So those are four different things that you can do. And they all come with some challenges. So let's start with the sell. Well, a lot of people are talking about how the housing market is stagnated and there's just nobody out there buying. There's record high interest rates. And I have to say, as somebody who just last week, the team listed several homes and we're already in contract, the reality may differ from what you're hearing on the news. I know that sounds really weird, but your reality may differ from what you're hearing on the news. So selling a property may be the right choice, and it really does depend on what you're going to do with that equity, right? Or do you plan on transferring that equity into your new future house? Do you actually need and he can share with you about some ideas in the event that you wanted to try and keep your home. But the option number two is a rent. So renting a home is great. I highly recommend you, if you don't already, to buy several rental properties. One of the challenges of renting your primary residence out instead of selling it is it may keep you from buying the property that you want. But if you can swing it and it makes sense and you want to do a long-term rental, the two caveats I have for that long-term rental is one, get a property manager, and two, make it cash flow. If the property is not cash flowing and you don't have a property manager, it means you become what we call a reluctant landlord. And I know that it could be that you can do everything. And I love that about many people. Matter of fact, my grandfather self-managed all of his properties. And I bet they could have done a lot less stress had not doing that, because you are the one that has to show up and fix the hot water tank. You are the one that has to fix the heat when it's gone. You are the one that has to patch the ceiling or the walls when the new renters go out. So self-management can kind of suck. The cool thing about having somebody help you manage that home is they stand in the gap for you and take the liability. They know their rights, your rights rather, and they know their tenants' rights. So they can guide you and advise you for a fraction of the profits. It's really fairly reasonable. So next comes short-term rentals. These are extremely popular because it creates a higher level of cash flow. Certainly, I would say the biggest challenge of short-term rentals, and we're talking Airbnb, HomeAway. I call it VRBO, but people call it Verbo. I don't know. I always called it VRBO. vacation rental by own or VRBO. But every 3 to 4 days, you actually have to get in there and do the cleaning of the house. You have to deal with something that's broken, items that are missing, plates, cups, glasses, coffee makers, wine keys. Don't forget the wine keys. People want to have wine, and if there's no wine key, how do they open their bottle of wine? So there's a lot to it, but here's the thing, is an industry has sprung up of what we call super hosts that you can hire to do that. So I can put you in touch. We've actually had one on our podcast in the past that if you are interested, just give us a call and we will connect you with our super host. And then the last one is new to me and I don't quite know how it works, but I do know it's more of a periodic tenancy, meaning 3 months, 4 months, 6 months at a time. And these are traveling nurses. A lot of the times they come into the area, they need a place fully furnished. And they need to be there for a time. And they actually, the organizations that hire them pay for that, those accommodations. Generally speaking, it's going to be much higher than a renter, a long-term renter, maybe lower than a seasonal Airbnb renter. So as you traverse the options available to you, the Eastside real estate team and myself are here to help you determine what would be the most profitable and equitable use of your equity in your house. Sell the home, rent the home, short-term rent the home, or rent as medical professionals. Those could be your options. I would love to talk more about your decision and help guide you in that direction. So if you're interested, reach out to the Eastside real estate team. All right. Like I said, we're looking for future guests. Here's our commercial before we get to our mortgage moment. Our commercial is from one of our past guests. So if you want to be a past guest, this is what you get. So come back after a short break. We're going to welcome Tucker back on the show.